Welcome to your Half Moon Check-In, where I use Lenormand cards to give some additional advice around the 3 life themes that popped up in last week's New Moon Tarot readings. Listen to the reading for the topic that most interests you this week, or listen to the topic that matched the tarot reading you picked at the last moon. Hello Pile 1 and welcome to your reading. Hello Pile 2 and welcome to your reading. Hello Pile number 3 and welcome to your reading. Tarot is great for examining the grand bio-psycho-spiritual context of a conundrum. Say that 5 times fast. You can always return to last week's tarot readings for more details. While Lenormand is great for what to do in your everyday to achieve your grandest vision for this one life. Pick your Half Moon Check-In reading now. Pile 1, Career Growth. Pile 2, Long-Term Love. Pile 3, A Leap of Faith. The Lenormand 9-card spread is read in particular directions. So I'm going to start with the major theme of your reading, which is read from each of the diagonals in the 9-card square. I've put out just the diagonals so that you can follow along with me easily. So, the first position is the Sun card, and that represents you. So in this case, it's confirming to me that this reading is about career growth. It's about someone who's interested in management, who has big career ambitions, big goals. Now, the really nice thing about getting the Sun card in the first position as you is that it answers any query as a giant yes. You can't get better than the Sun card in the Lenormand deck. The next most important card in a Lenormand 9-card square is the Central card. Now, the Central card really tells you the quality of the answer, whether it's positive, negative, neutral, and what the theme is really about. So in this case, you're getting another very positive card in the center of your spread. You're getting the Moon card, which is recognition in the case of career. Ultimately, the outcome of the reading is read from the final card on the bottom right of the square. And in this case, you have the Ring card. The Ring card is a more neutral card, and it depends on the cards around it. But in this case, you're getting very positive cards in the timeline of the spread, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So in this case, the Ring is about commitment or a contract. So this first line reads the sentence, you get recognition that leads to a contract. Now we go to the second diagonal. So in the second diagonal, the theme reads Fish plus Moon plus Cross. Fish is the money card. It's also the entrepreneurial card, the card of contracts and salaried work. But it's decent money. It's not gig money. Then you have Moon again, which reads the same as recognition. The Moon also speaks to, you could be in a caring profession such as psychology or health or natural health, or you're a healer. It can also be under intuition and art for creativity, but it's really also about communications. So it can also be social media management, things where you're creative and you self-express and it's about communication. And then finally, we come to the Cross card. So the Cross card can sometimes be negative. You're going to see me read it as a negative card in the first column, but in this case in the theme, because of the Moon card coming before the Cross card, and these are the little nuances in Lenormand, this means that you are going to have the destined recognition that you're looking for. As a positive card, the Cross speaks to destiny. So putting that all together, you are good at what you do, and if you put yourself forward, you will get recognition, you will get the right kind of money that comes with that recognition, and you'll be on your destined path. So now let's add in some other cards to get more details around some of the complications that you're facing in this process. But this is a big yes to pursue your career goals, and that you really need to take action in order to do that. Now let's go to column 1. Column 1 represents the past. So here we add in the Whip card. So now we have Sun plus Whip plus Cross. This speaks to the recent past, and I expect that it's speaking to the employment situation that you see yourself in now. And what this says to me is that you've been working for a place that you had big hopes for, that that you thought was really going to be a great place to work for and that aligned with your values. And unfortunately, what you found is that that didn't happen. So this speaks to after a good start, there was suffering. And potentially that this is some stressful, repetitive work that you've been doing for not enough pay. And I suspect potentially for some of you in a nonprofit environment or in a social justice kind of environment, somewhere where you took this job because your values are to help people and to be of service. But in the end, it isn't serving you. Now we're going to move to the present column. And here we're going to add snake and mountain. In your present, you have snake plus moon plus mountain. What this says to me is you've needed to be highly diplomatic in a negative, tricky environment, your current workplace. You've needed to be diplomatic in order to make it through. So it's calling on you to be very, very professional. And I can see how these skills are the exact skills that you can use going forward when you look for a brand new opportunity. And yes, I'm advising you in the next few weeks to open your mind and to begin taking action on looking for a new opportunity that shows off your skills. Now, added details, moon plus mountain here. This says to me that the offer that you get or the opportunity that you get may not be where you live. Mountain speaks to things being overseas or remote potentially. So I see that it would be good for you in the next little while to look for opportunities to either show off or upgrade your skills somewhere not where you live, potentially traveling to another place or potentially online. So this is within the context of your current work. So this is a vine to vine move. This is looking for new opportunities and new offers coming to you while you are still within your position. But we are going to talk about your position coming to a natural end soon enough. But I think that you have the power right now to do some really important networking. Again, potentially traveling or potentially online. So potentially a conference where you go physically to that place, potentially a conference where you're a speaker online. Some kind of speaking engagement would be really great because what I want is for you to show off your skills at this potential opportunity. The other possibility is that maybe there's a certification that you go for, that you leave your place of work in order to attend to upgrade your skills, some kind of certification, some kind of short course. These are other places where I feel like you could go and meet the right people in order to start putting yourself out there, getting your resume out there, and getting the offer that I see is coming to you for the really high-level skills that aren't being used properly and are no longer in alignment with the people that you're working with right now. Now we'll go to the third column, which is in the near future. And here I'm adding a negative card to this. And this is the spice of life, yes? So does this all go in a flash? No. When the coffin is there, it can take some time in order for this to happen. So in the future column, you have fish plus coffin plus ring. I see your current position potentially coming to its natural end. And now that might be because you're in a contract position. That's something I can totally see here with the entrepreneur card plus the contract card plus an end. So it's a natural end. I don't see drama potentially in your future, but your current position is going to come to an end. Now, I could see you waiting for funds. Potentially, they're not paying you fast enough from this previous contract. Potentially, there's some disagreement or some difficulties there that you have to negotiate really well with your self-interest in mind. When the snake is present, you always need to keep your self-interest at the forefront. You also keep your cards close to your chest. This is a place you are in a tricky environment right now with tricky dynamics. So I want you to put yourself first, to be your most professional and diplomatic self. You may need to negotiate for this money that is owed to you. It will come to you in time. But I have to say, even though that's potentially playing out for some of you in your current workplaces with some complications over money, really what this reading is speaking to is to you taking action in order to find that next offer, because that offer with good money is coming to you, but it's going to take some time, and it's going to take you cultivating faith and some patience and being dogged. So really, you are owed this offer. You have everything you need to get this offer, but it's not just going to float in on the breeze. You actually have to put in quite a bit of networking and take the actions necessary in order to make it come to you. In any Lenormand 9 card, the final outcome is really described by both the final column on the right and also the bottom row. And here I have some added advice for you. I think that you're depleted from this current workplace situation that you've got going on. I think you're depleted by the people around you, by the stamina it's taking to maintain being professional around them, by potentially mediating with them. As I said, if you want more details about the emotional environment, you can go back to the reading last week and look at pile number 1 in particular. Now, the warning here is to not get trapped, not get closed off, and make sure that you're hunting for opportunities and that you're jumping on opportunities, because your depletion might make you stay at home a little too much, stay quiet a little too much. Also, it could be having you question your abilities. Like, you might not be feeling as incredible a catch that you are for the next opportunity. You are an incredible catch. And you can't let yourself stop thinking that because of some kind of criticality that's going on in the current situation that you're in, because the people you're with are not trustworthy and you can't take your opinion of yourself from them. You've got all the skills. This reading says, yes, if you go out and look for it, you will get that opportunity. It may take a little bit of time. You need to manage your current money well. You may need to negotiate very professionally and carefully for some money that is owed to you. But ultimately, you need to keep your spirits up and you need to get out there, and that opportunity and that offer and that money is coming to you. Welcome, Pile 2. Welcome to your Lenormand reading. So the question I asked the cards was, over the next little while, what can you do to support your romantic life? And that theme was born in last week's tarot readings from the new moon. So if you're interested in more emotional details around this reading, potentially, you can go and look at pile number 2 from last week. But I'll just say that this seems to be adding to the story a little bit. So I may draw a bit on that reading and a bit on this reading, but there could be different people watching this week. So take what resonates and leave the rest if you watch both readings. So Lenormand cards read a little differently from tarot. Firstly, I use them for very pragmatic, concrete actions to take. The tarot can get into more spiritual and emotional explorations. You can use Lenormand for that as well, but I prefer to use each tool for slightly separate, complementary readings. So you can look at the tarot reading from last week for a more emotional discussion, and you can come to the Lenormand series for very practical advice on how to take that emotional exploration and head for your goals in a very practical way. For these readings, I'm doing a 9-card Lenormand spread. Lenormand is read in very particular directions. It has more rules to it than tarot, and it reads kind of like a language. There are 36 cards. Each card can represent a single word. That's a simple way to go about it. They can represent many different possibilities because each card can be read for a different life area, such as career or romance or relationships, etc., etc. In this case, I'm reading the cards in the context of relationship. In the Lenormand 9-card spread, there are a couple of very important cards to look at before you start reading the lines. And the first important card is the first card, and this one represents you. And in this case, we actually got the you card in the you spot. So in each of these 3 Lenormand piles, I have used different cards for the querents. That means the card that represents you and the card that could represent a potential romantic partner. In this 9-card spread, only you came up so far, so you are in the first position. So I would say that this reading really focuses on you, what you can do in this situation with your loved one, with someone you're interested in. I really think this is about your mindset, your set of emotions. So over the next little while, I think you really need to dig deep into whatever is going on inside you around this situation before you really start delving into the other person's side of things. The next really important card that we look at is the central card. The central card really gives you an idea of the outcome of the entire reading. I would say that this card, the bear card, tells me that this reading is actually about big love, about a soulmate, about a long-term relationship. It's also about you cultivating self-importance within that relationship, but also you looking at how you might be intimidating or blocking to a relationship. So now we'll go into the diagonals of the reading, which also speak to the major overarching theme. So in diagonal 1, we have you plus bear plus whip. Now whip is a double-edged sword. It can be a very sexy card. It does speak directly to sexuality, and that's the fun side of the card. If there are many other negative cards, it also speaks to conflict. You plus bear plus whip, what that says to me is you need to cultivate self-importance with respect to your sexuality, with respect to a person that you love. Now, I'm going to say this is a long-standing relationship because I've looked at all the cards, and all the cards really speak to one of two things. Either a long-standing relationship is really important to you, commitment and being with someone for the long term is very important to you, or you have been in a very long-term relationship with the right person. And overall, what this says, because this card, the whip, is the very final card of the Lenormand 9-card square traditionally, this speaks to the strongest influence on the outcome. And I would say that your long-standing relationship has hit a difficult time. This relationship is really up for change. And what I care about most over these next few weeks, months, is that you're delving into how this brings difficulty to you and how you are going to handle change with this person. I want to say right now, because that isn't the most comfortable thing to say, the cards say that this relationship has what it takes to make it through this difficult period, but it really will come down to how you handle it. Now, what tells me that your relationship can handle this? It's the second diagonal. Star plus bear plus key. The right person plus loyalty plus a soulmate. A very mature relationship. I suspect you're in a very mature relationship and that you have the foundation it takes in order to go through big changes to refresh this relationship. So really, I think this reading is about refreshing a long-standing relationship. In the Lenormand 9-card spread, there is also a time sequence. The first column is the past, the middle is the present, and the third column is the future. So let's start with your recent past. And for that, we're going to add in the anchor card. You plus anchor plus key. This tells me that you're an incredibly loyal person, that you're in it for the long term, and that through that long term, you've been very self-reliant. So I would say you're one hell of a great partner to your partner. You have been a great partner. On the flip side, considering that we're looking at a potential conflict, rupture, or change in this relationship, I would say, since this is a long-term relationship, you might have become too self-reliant. There might not quite be enough connection and aliveness and shared passions with your partner. I would also say this tells me that you really value security and that you've gotten that out of this relationship. And potentially you've leaned on that a little too much. I'm almost wondering if there is a little bit of jealousy happening. Perhaps there's a situation. It could be sexual. It could be that your partner wants you to go out and explore new sexuality possibilities together, new scenarios. I don't think this is about an open relationship because I just don't think that's who you are. I think you value monogamy, loyalty, long-term, one-on-one. But I do feel, for some reason, I keep feeling that this stretching the boundaries is coming from your partner more than you, and that you're having a bit of a hard time with it, and that you're going to have to open the possibilities inside yourself. You're going to have to move towards your partner and what they're asking for in this relationship, and that's hard for you. But I don't think you're close to it. I don't see that in these cards. There would be other cards I'd be looking for that. I think you are ready to stretch your horizons. I just think it's uncomfortable. Now, as I said, one possibility is that it's in the sexuality realm, but another possibility is it's just in activities, more aliveness together. Now, I don't particularly see travel cards here, but I'm just going to throw out a few possibilities. Maybe you go out dancing together more. Maybe you go and do a shared activity together, something new and exciting. Maybe you go see new places. You need novelty. Now let's head to the present column. For that, we're going to add the ring and lilies. Ring plus bear plus lilies. I think this speaks to you right now. For you, what's more important than novelty is knowing that you're going to grow old together, that you are in a committed bond and that you have security. So I would say that this is really speaking to the most important emotions that you're working with right now. Perhaps this novelty that is being asked for from your partner has you worried that this committed bond you thought you were in isn't going to be for the long term. I would say, actually, you're right in that this long-term bond that you have is the reason you can overcome the challenge of growing and evolving and freshening up your connection. Now let's move to the final column, which is your near future. For this, we're going to add, it says shears, it's a pair of scissors in this deck, but traditionally it's the scythe. This tells me that you can't avoid a rupture. I don't see the coffin card in here, in which case I would say absolutely that is a breakup, but I'm also not going to say that that's not a possibility in the cards. I think if you don't change, if you keep the habits just as they've always been in this relationship, you are risking a breakup. And that's maybe the biggest warning. The biggest warning in this reading is security doesn't equal rigidity. Welcome change. Welcome the rupture. A rupture doesn't have to mean a breakup. But I do see it saying that your partner saying this desire that they have for fresh energy can't be ignored any longer. And that you need to sit with it and entertain it. And think about the ways that you're willing to stretch yourself and begin that conversation with them. The other way you can read a 9-card spread is by row, and it gives you more context to the situation. So the top row is actually about your hopes and fears. And when I see you plus ring plus stars, what I see you most want is a deep connection, intimacy, and romance with your partner. You can have that. You can have that by stretching and growing. By putting yourself in novel situations with your partner, you become more intimate because you learn more about them and about yourself. More context in the present, I see anchor plus bear plus scythe, which says commitment, security, and willpower can overcome the situation. And again, I think because this is here, it's a double-edged sword. But be careful of willpower. Be careful of trying to strong arm them to your way of thinking because you want to hold on to the past. When we're deciding about the final outcome of a 9-card Lenormand question, you look at the third column plus the final row. And you look at them together. Both of them are leading to a challenge. Key plus lily plus whip. Your long-standing soulmate and you are heading for a challenging phase. You're not going to avoid the challenging phase. It's time, but it's also healthy. So meet it with hope. Hello, Pile 3, and welcome to your Lenormand reading. So the question I asked the cards was, what can you do over the next little while to support a leap of faith? So if you want more details around this, you can revisit that reading in last week's reading, and I believe it was pile number 3. Now, Lenormand cards work a little differently from tarot cards. Tarot cards are very good at speaking to the spiritual and emotional reasons around a situation, whereas I really like to use Lenormand cards in a complementary way in order to get very practical details around what actions to take in order to move your goal forward. For these readings, I've chosen a Lenormand 9-card square. Now, Lenormand is much more structured than tarot. There are 36 cards in a Lenormand deck, and each card can be represented by a single word as a simplification. Now, each of those words can then be applied to any of many of life's situations, such as romance, or career, or money, or friendship, etc. But in this case, I've chosen to take the most spiritual meanings of the cards. because that's what a leap of faith requires. Now, when you're reading a Lenormand 9-card square, there's a particular way that you read it. And the first two most important cards to look at are card number 1, because this card represents you in this reading. And in this case, you have the ship card. Often this card really confirms the cards are talking about what we asked them to talk about. In this case, a leap of faith. And what does the ship represent? It represents travel. It represents a mini break. It tells you to don't waste time, set your goals, set sail, take an adventure, get outside the box. So in this case, yes, the cards are absolutely confirming that for the next little while, the next few weeks or months, this is a major focus for you. The next thing that we look at on a Lenormand 9-card square are the first two diagonals, and they speak to the overall theme of the reading. Starting with diagonal 1, I see ship plus bird plus fish. Right away what I see is that taking a short trip or starting a short new project, a change of scenery, potentially even including air travel, will help you to push your goals forward. And in this case, your goals are financial. They really speak to broadening your horizons because ultimately you want to pursue something meaningful to you that brings you money. And I think you're feeling a little jaded, a little worn out about that. And this short trip, including the community that I'm going to talk about, is what's going to help move you forward and actually cultivate the faith, to have the faith in a leap of faith. The second diagonal is talking to me about what you can accomplish within this short trip or within this project. And it says that what you really need to do is start bringing out into the air with trusted people your shadow side, your real feelings of jadedness around why it's been hard to pursue something meaningful that brings money to you. Now, the first possibility I really see is that this short trip, you can just have some casual hangout time with friends, with people you trust, and you can talk about these things, and it can begin to loosen this shadow that you might be feeling around it. But there is another possibility here. So one possibility is you need some relaxation time with people you trust and to start talking about this stuff. And maybe someone in that community of trusted people, either family or friends, are people who make money in meaningful ways. And you can see that as an example out in your world. And you can start to talk to them about it, be open about it. The minute we're open about our shadow, it begins to release its hold on us. Another more proactive route that you could take is actually a fact-finding mission. And in this case, it would be in a more professional realm. If you're feeling up to it, I think some kind of trip to go and see someone or some organization that does what you would like to take a leap to do, that does it well, that you respect, and you interview some people about how they got there. That might give you not only hope that this actually exists out there, but the confidence to pursue it, and maybe some tips on what skills to build, the people to talk to next. The next thing we look at in a 9-card Lenormand spread is the time sequence. Column 1 is your recent past, the middle is your present, and the final column on the right is the near future. So to look at the past column, we're going to add in this case, the mountain card. When I see in your recent past, ship plus mountain plus rider in this case, I see you blocking yourself from broadening your horizons, for pursuing meaningful work. So we've already talked about this. Next, we'll look at your present column, and we'll add in flowers, which is called bouquet, and dog. In the present column, we have flowers plus bird plus dog. Here is where I see the hangout with friends, where you can debate in a casual, nurturing environment about what you really think and what the possibilities are. But you have to have trusted people in order to do this. If it's not people that you already know, this is also telling me that you could go look for an association with regular meetings, some kind of meetup, regular meetup of a group of people with the same values or interested in the same things, particularly professional. I'm going to say this is about being professional, potentially even starting your own business. Look for a group that you can attend regularly. Now, a lot of this points to a trip, so that could be in real life. But the other way that you can do this is online. Look for groups online, look for events online, look for conferences online, or potentially look for some kind of course online that's in the field that you would like to take this leap to, that is about a skill that excites you to have, that you know would help you make money in this field. Given that those possibilities are in your present, I would say in the next few weeks, you could actually look for one of those opportunities, either in real life or online. The other thing that comes to mind, because this is a faith-based reading, you could also take a trip for some kind of retreat that interests you, because there will be people who share the same values with you. And within a retreat, you tend to build the trust in order to share very open, vulnerable things about your shadow side that might begin to loosen this jadedness that you have, that you can pursue meaningful work that brings you money. Now we'll go to column 3, which is about the near future, and we will add in the final card, which turns out to be you. And I love that in this case, in this particular pile number 3, the you card is this person floating with an umbrella in the sky with their bags packed. So I have to say, you need to travel either mentally or physically. You need to find these people to talk to. And the reason is that in this column 3, this near future, we have moon plus you plus fish. And moon in this case can be an offer. This could be a potential business partnership. I really feel that you have the potential to make a meaningful business with somebody you already know, or somebody that you are going to go out and meet in one of these circles of wider networking that I'm really inviting you to entertain and go out and get in the next few weeks to months. I have a last few tips for you, and this is very specific, so this may not apply to everyone watching this video, but in particular, if you go on this trip and you meet any obstacles, because mountain is an obstacle, this could even be as specific as an obstacle at a border. This reading is telling you that you might not help yourself in that situation, so watch how you're communicating to people, because you could be causing anxiety in this problem. You could be part of that problem. Now, it could be as specific as relating to a border that you're crossing during this trip, but it could be any interaction that you have where you're communicating with people during this short trip, either in life or online. And I think the last thing I want to say is that another possibility is, if it's not a business partnership that you come up with, it could be that you find a mentor. I really feel that you're meant to get out there and just interview a lot of people so that you can see actual real-world examples of what you're looking for out in the world. This will inspire you to take the leap of faith and stay the course. So good luck. This sounds exciting. Be adventurous.